We are just about a week into the new year, and I thought I would prompt you to consider working on something this year. Most of us have goals as we get into the new year. A lot of times those are weight loss, diet, or exercise goals, but I'm curious if you have any goals just working on yourself. I have been on a self-growth journey for several years, and it has served me very well. One of the areas that I feel is so important to put focus on if you want to live a fulfilling, satisfying, and happy life is to learn the art of listening with intent. It's something that very few people are good at. As I've worked on my self-growth, this has been one of the strongest areas that has challenged me. But I will share with you that as I have grown and gotten better at listening well, listening with intent, hearing what someone is actually saying, it has complemented my emotional intelligence, because a lot of times our strong emotions come from being hurt or from taking offense to something that someone said or being sensitive. Then our emotions tap in and we actually justify and believe that we have a reason for reacting the way that we did. I'd love to know if that has served you well. So in 2023, I'd like to encourage you to work on your listening skills. And I'm going to share some tips to really think about. Number one, you have to learn how to pause. You have to learn that you have to pause in listening to someone. After someone says something to you, and it is something that could potentially rub you the wrong way. I say could potentially. Most people just go there. But you're going to learn the art of potential. It could potentially have some negative connotation behind it or negative energy. This also includes text messages, which can be one of the worst, where we read a text and we're like, yeah, and this is what they said. Well, you're putting that energy of how they said it when we really don't know that's their energy at all. I see this all the time. This also includes emails as well as comments on maybe some of your social media platforms. If you do put content out there or if you post, you never know what you're going to receive in the comment section. And let me know if you would like me to do a video on the savvy way to leave a comment. Boy, this is another area that very few people do well. It is an area I'm very strong in, and it's because I've put the work in. Imagine that. Kind of like listening, but listening correctly, listening well, listening without taking what someone said, twisting it to how I'm hearing it, will challenge me probably forever, but I will share with you that I've improved. Because you see, what happens is what someone says, whether it's verbally or it's in some type of text form, what they say and what we hear often are two separate things. This can be really prominent in your relationship with your spouse or significant other. And once you learn how to listen with intent and hear what they're actually saying, you will take less offense and be less sensitive to what they're saying. And if you are sensitive to what a person says, challenge yourself by asking why. Why am I taking offense to this? I have found that most comments or phrases or dialogue that I have had with another person and I have taken offense to something or been sensitive, they didn't really say anything that I should be taking sensitive. They really are innocent here. I have taken their words, I have created my own story based off of something, probably from my past, and heard something different. And now I may be mad. I may react, right? When that person didn't mean any harm at all. So hear what I'm saying. What someone says and what we hear can be two different things. So if you ever take offense or feel hurt by something another person says, ask yourself to repeat back to yourself what they said, because what you heard could be very different. And it's really unfortunate, especially in commenting, because if someone, let's say, watches a video, watches one of my YouTube videos, and I say something, but they hear something else, they may leave a comment with their version of what they heard, which that's not wrong. They are correct in what they heard. We all have a different perception. But in the comment, they will actually say why they took offense or why they disagree, and they'll put in there what I said, which isn't what I said at all. And someone else may see that, especially if they're looking for some validation or looking for some attention. We would love to explore that in coaching. But other people may now see it from that lens. So that's the unfortunate, even if you have a texting thread with several people. One person can take the initial text and they can twist it into their own version because that's what they heard. And I'd love to explore in coaching why they heard what they heard, because often we will find a reason why. I recently encountered this exact situation with a comment I received on a YouTube video. Now, let me share that the commenter was not saying anything nasty, or it was not hate at all that I was receiving. But again, a lot of people would read that and be like, oh my gosh, oh, hate. I don't see it that way because I've learned the art of reading what the person is saying and not twisting it into my own version. But the person said they were hurt by something that I said in a video based on their profession. Well, I never said what this person was insinuating that I said. So it's unfortunate that this person was hurt, but I'd love to explore where the hurt is coming from, because it wasn't my words at all. What I said and what she heard were two different things. And why did she hear what she heard, right? There's often a reason. Maybe there's some history of what I shared, she's heard from other people, and she's created this own story and version. The other thing that was interesting is in her comment, the professional that she is, her role, she put in all uppercase letters. I am and it was in uppercase letters. It'd be like me putting, I am a professional coach in all uppercase. And every time she used that term, it was in uppercase. So we clearly know this person took offense, because what I said and what they heard are two different things. While it's unfortunate, if we peeled back that layer in coaching, we would probably find a reason why. Also, why she has a need to make sure she's putting her title in uppercase, bold, to make sure everyone sees it. Why do you need that attention? Why do you need that validation, right? Now, you may be wondering, how do we handle when we say something to someone, or we send them an email or a comment or a text message, and they're hurt? How do we handle that? If they took what we said and they heard it in their own version, do we apologize because we hurt the person? Well, that's where it gets tricky, because technically, you are innocent. I'll give you an example. If Paul says something to me and I take what he says and I hear it differently, and now I have a bad attitude towards him, which a lot of wives will do. They'll kind of hold this little grudge all day long. Husbands can do the same, but wives, a lot of times, this can be really big with women. We tend to have stronger emotions. He is wondering, what did I do? I have no idea why she's acting the way she is. Why is she mad at me? He's innocent. He has no idea. If he finally says to you, what's going on? What's the problem? Did I do something? And you come back and tell him what he said that hurts you. If he says, that's not what I said at all, understand, you need to think back, because what he said and what you heard, two different things. So he really is innocent in this. That's why this can be one of the hardest tools, or one of the hardest skills to work on if you want to raise your emotional intelligence. You will never have high EQ, high emotional intelligence, if you don't listen well, if you don't listen with intent, if you take everything that you see as a strike against you and you turn it into your own version. You will never have high emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is something that I work on with my clients if that is an area that they would like to grow. Often they would. It just depends on what their agenda is and what we're working on. But it's not fair to that person. So should I expect my husband to apologize to me because I'm hurt? Well, not really, because it's not his fault that I am hurt. One way to handle this is if you say something to someone and they are hurt and they share with you, well, it hurt me when you said that. You come back and you say to that person, I'm sorry that you took what I said out of context and therefore you're hurt by it. So you're not apologizing that you hurt the person, because you didn't hurt them. They took what you said, created a story, and now they are choosing to be hurt. This is their box and we have to let them sit in it. If you apologize for hurting them, you really are taking ownership that you said something to hurt them. But in reality, you didn't. You didn't say anything to offend them. They took what you said and heard it in their own version, which we are always going to do. We're always going to interpret things the way that we do, and it makes complete sense. And often, if we have any wounds or scars in our past, those wounds or scars are going to come out when people say things to us. In coaching, I use an analogy of house A and house B. Two houses in a nice neighborhood right next to each other. In both homes, mom works from home. They have kids. Dad goes to work. In house A, the husband comes home from work and walks in the door and he says, "Ugh, what a day. I have just had such a day. What's for dinner?" And she says, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it's already 5:30. I have not even thought about dinner. Do you want to go out and get something, or do you want to just order takeout?" That's what wife in house A says. Wife in house B, let's walk through the same scenario. Husband walks in. Now don't forget, mom works remotely, both homes, everything is the same. Husband walks in. "Ugh, what a day. Oh my gosh, it just was a ringer. Ugh. Oh, what's for dinner?" What do you mean, what's for dinner? What do you think I do all day? You think I just sit around and do nothing? You know, you're fully capable, you know, you and then, oh, right? How ironic that both husbands said the same exact thing when they walked in the door, but the wives both heard something different. In house A, she simply heard what her husband said. She simply heard what her husband said. In house B, she heard something very different. I want you to think about this for a minute. What did she hear? What did the wife in house B hear? Think about it. You're lazy. You're incompetent. You do nothing all day long. You have it easy. And the list could go on and on and on. You're worthless. You have no value. That's your gremlin talking, right? That's that negative inner voice. And often that's coming from scars and wounds from the past, maybe your upbringing. But now your husband has to pay the price for all your scars and wounds, right? And again, this can go on both sides. It's just an example. It's just the metaphor. So be careful. So a big area to work on in 2023 from your certified professional coach, without a coaching session, I'm just going to give it to you here, is to work on listening, and it is an art. It is an art. As you improve on your listening skills, your emotional intelligence will raise, your EQ, because you will be way less reactive. You'll be able to dial it in. You'll be able to channel the words that the person said and decide how you're going to perceive them. But listen to the words. Have you ever had someone say, well, you know what they meant? Okay, they read you a text message and his ex-wife, she said that she's getting the kids at this time. You may be like, all she said is she's getting the kids a half hour later. Yeah, but you know what she meant. Oh, really? Now, again, we do believe people when they show us who they are, but just be careful. Because if you want to raise your emotional intelligence, you have to learn the art of listening well, and listening with intent. It will forever be a journey of mine, but one thing that I've noticed is the more work that I put in, the better I get. And the more you're around people, especially coming off the holidays and gatherings with loved ones, I'd love to know, how many times were you triggered? How many times did someone say something in the month of December that rubbed you the wrong way, that pushed your buttons, that you took offense to, that you were sensitive to? Did they really say that? Did they really say that? If they didn't, challenge yourself as to why you heard what you heard. Yeah. If you're looking to work with a coach to raise your emotional intelligence, I have a lot of workshops that you can purchase. And as soon as you check out, they'll be sent to you on everything from EQ type content to, of course, health and wellness, getting organized, a lot of great workshops if one-on-one coaching is not something that's right currently on your radar, maybe in the future. But would love to work with you. And I will be offering plenty more coming up. I have a workshop I'm working feverishly on about becoming the ideal version, our highest self, so that we can live a life where we're fulfilled and satisfied with who we are, but you have to work on some of these skills. So good luck. Would be interested to hear any comments you have. Maybe share some situations that you've had where you clearly heard something different than what the person said. I love the engagement in the comment section. And let me just also remind you, be careful. Be careful when you leave comments, because you are taking something that someone else said and you're creating your own version. It's one thing to talk to that person directly, but when you bring other people in, we often have to wonder why. Why are you needing the attention and the validation? But it's not really fair to the person saying it. It's better to say what I heard you say, which is something I do all the time. If Paul says something to me and I'm a little bit in confusion, usually it's I'm not sure I'm understanding him. I will come back and say, what I heard you say is da-da-da-da-da-da. Is that correct? In fact, I just a couple days ago had a situation with my business manager where she was proposing how we were going to do something. And there was a lot of different parts to it. So when I came back, I said, let me say it back to you based on what I'm hearing you say and let me know if I got it. So I said it back to her based on my interpretation, and she said, yep, that's exactly it, which is perfect. So tossing that ball is another great tool. If you do hear something that someone said and you take it the wrong way, mirror it back to them and say, what I'm hearing you say is, whatever, 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 right? But we know if we think of the wife in house B, she wasn't doing that. She could have came back and said, what I'm hearing you say is you had a really rough day, you're exhausted and you're hungry and you want to eat. Well, guess what? I had kind of a doozy of a day too, and I didn't get that done. Guilty! Let's just go get some Mexican, right? Right? Don't judge it, don't analyze it. So, great video here. Give me some feedback. Love for you to share and get working on it. Get working on it. All right. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon. Take care.